This week's episode is an interview with another returning guest, Bonnie Biagioli. She's a somatic breathwork practitioner, certified sound healer, functional medicine health coach, and yoga teacher who's dedicated years to doing deep personal work. In my circle of friends, Bonnie's like the guinea pig. She'll try something and I'll see how it goes for her, and then I'll consider it. But anyway, so on this episode, she shares her powerful journey of breast explant surgery after having her implants for about 2 decades. So what originally called her to this journey was just getting to a place of feeling like her implants no longer aligned with this version of her. And soon after she made that decision, she heard about breast implant illness. So deep diving into that, she realized that her implants were likely contributing to health issues such as brain fog, heart palpitations, hair loss, dark circles under her eyes, and more. Just months after her removal, she's already noticed profound changes somatically, but also emotionally and spiritually. And the most transformative change of all has been Bonnie's shift into her heart space. Not only being able to breathe deeper, but feeling lighter and feeling a coming of home to herself. Personally, the heart space has been this massive theme through my own journey through divorce. Final court hearing this Thursday, woo! And so re-listening to this conversation that I recorded months ago, it's just so relevant because as I've come to learn and as Bonnie has come to learn, and maybe you're on this journey too, or maybe this is just the spark of that knowing that there is no deeper wisdom than the wisdom of the heart, the intuition. When you are living life every day from this space, you just can't go wrong. Your heart can never steer you wrong. So in true School of Whispers style, this conversation is raw, and it's an inspiring reminder of the remembering that comes from listening to your body and embracing it, scars and all. Some highlights. Bonnie's experience of growing up in a cult and eventually leaving it along with her entire family behind when she was 17. Why Bonnie got implants at the age of 21 and why she decided to remove them. And we both weave into this conversation our own experiences of shifting from outsourcing a sense of love, acceptance, and beauty to accessing it from within, and in a lot of ways saying fuck you to the cultural narrative that is swimming all around women. In my case, women in our 20s, but for Bonnie's case, women in their 40s. And it's just all around a damn good conversation. And it feels worth mentioning here that whether you have implants or want to get implants, you love them or hate them, it really does not matter. There is no shame, no judgment. Actually, Bonnie and I talk about how we don't personally find implants to be ugly. They look beautiful. And what really matters is when it comes to beauty. So there's 2 differences here that I've been exploring myself. There's attractiveness and then there's beauty. The attractiveness is something that we do seek to outsource. We try to attract others to us. It's like that sense of attraction is based off on how others see us and perceive us. And there's nothing wrong with chasing that. I personally have found it to be a very fruitless journey. And then there's beauty. And beauty is really, I've come to find, redefining it in my life, it is something that is sourced from within. Feeling beautiful and believing you're beautiful has very little to do with how others deem you, whether that's attractive or not. So this conversation really isn't about whether you should or shouldn't get implants and what's right or wrong in that arena. It's a story of what happens when a woman follows her whispers, follows her heart, and opens her heart and never looks back from that point. If you would like to work with Bonnie, you can find all of her information in the show notes. Welcome to the School of Whispers podcast. This is your host, Stephanie. I'm a licensed acupuncture physician and herbalist with a background in psychology, health sciences, and exercise physiology. Within my own spiritual awakening, I found myself learning pivotal lessons when I got myself to be in silence. Within that silence, the whispers came through. This is my sacred space of vulnerable storytelling where my guests and I share about the magic that comes from a life of following these whispers. I'm grateful you made it here, and I hope this show inspires you to live a life of following your own whispers. Let's get into the show. Bonnie, welcome back to the show. It's been 2 seasons, 2 lifetimes since you've been back on, and I'm so excited. I love you so much, and I know that this is when you and I just start chatting as we did for the past 45 minutes. Oh man, we go places. So I'm so excited to create this space for you to share the story of this recent big life shift for you. So thank you for coming on and being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I always love chatting with you. And I was thinking our first time we did this was right after I had moved to Sarasota. I was back in Winter Park for something and we recorded the pod. So that was in 3 years would have been, or in July would have been 3 years.
Holy moly.
So time flies, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
Two
And
and a
and
half
that
years.
that episode was called Trusting the Medicine, and I feel like that's kind of what you've been up to. To sum it all up, you've just been trusting and doing what the call has been. And I mean, that's the whispers. That's why I asked you to be on because I sharing the stories and the life that comes from following the whispers, I think is one of the most powerful things that we can do. Well, I would like to give you the space to reintroduce yourself, and I'll also share my new question that I ask everyone is to share, what do you stand for? I know it's a big
Mm.
question, but you got all the time and space, so go for it.
All right. So yeah, my name is Bonnie. I am a somatic breathwork practitioner, and I'm also just a lover of learning. I'm always curious about myself. I'm always curious about how things affect me, how I can grow. And so yeah, I just feel like I'm a seeker of truth. I'm a seeker of learning and of just growing and expanding. There was so much of my life where I was so closed off, where it was so black and white. It was this or that, me or you. And so I've really been trying to untangle that a lot the last few years. And so just allowing myself to be curious and to be open as to what is coming my way, what is right for me, and what is the next right step. And what do I stand for? It's such a great question. Um, I stand for authenticness. I stand for everybody being their fullest expression of their self, of themselves, whatever that means. Again, going back to like what I was just saying, everything used to be so black and white. I grew up in an environment where it was us versus the world. And we were right 100%, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. They believe that they are the only right thing and everybody else is wrong. So really understanding like in the last few years how I've taken that on, or how that was just embedded in my wiring, and so just really untangling that, and so letting everybody be their fullest expression, like letting everybody be weird and whatever that looks like for you, and not labeling it with like, oh my gosh, that's so weird, like in a negative way. It's fun if you're being weird in a fun way. But just allowing for my own growth, my own expansion, my own change, and really valuing that in other people. I also stand for sisterhood, like connection, community. That's my breath every day. That gives me life, like connecting with people like you who I'm fully aligned with, who I can be myself, who I know you feel that same safety and that same allowingness from for you to me, that is just such a beautiful thing. And yeah, we're better together, we're better in numbers. And I used to not find value in my relationships with women. And now I just like, we are queens, we are goddesses, but we need each other as well.
Yes, yes, yes. We are floating kingdoms coming together.
Yes.
I'm so glad you shared a little bit about growing up as in the cult that is being a Jehovah's Witness, because that was actually something I wanted to ask you about because I feel like this may be a part of your story because as I'm mentioning in the intro and as I'm mentioning now, we're gonna get into your implant explant breast augmentation and remove like all that stuff experience. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe the story kind of begins there. This is a story of like the heart opening, really, in a lot of ways, and like protecting the heart and then opening the heart. I feel like
Mhm.
in a subconscious way. So, would you agree, or do you feel like, I don't know, Steph, you're kind of running with that one?
Are you referring to like getting my implants out? Like that's
Oh,
the start of it, or like putting them in? That was the start of it.
yeah, putting them in
Mm.
was. I feel like it's just obviously such a unique experience growing up in that environment. And you would call it a cult. You've called it a cult a few
Oh
times.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, 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 it's a cult.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I had heard this recently. Actually, it was a few years ago. But the difference between a cult and a religion is what happens when you try to leave. And if from my experience, I'm not Catholic. I've never been Catholic, but other religions like Catholics, like if you want to leave, they just let you kind of float away and very quietly exit. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I'm speaking into that. But when you are in a cult, when you try to leave, they don't like that. And cults like fear is the currency in a lot of my experience and in my own experience, and then just what I've seen. And so, yeah, I grew up in this very oppressed environment. Like I just said, fear was the currency. It was very much like you will stay in this lane right here. Don't even attempt to put one toe out, of you will get in trouble, you will be bad. What can we tell you to make you fear like not listening to us? So if you're not in this lane, if you're not like following like how you're supposed to live, what you're supposed to wear, who you're allowed to be friends with, all of these rules and regulations, then you are bad and you are out. And I know some people in religions and cults, like their spidey senses go up even if they've grown up in it, and they're like, yeah, this is bullshit and I'm out. Well, I wasn't like that. I was like very fearful of it and thought like, oh, if I left, which I had wanted to do for years and years and years, if I left, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm bad. I'm gonna lose my family, which I did, that I knew. But all the other stuff is just made up rules. But when you're told that your entire life, like, of course, like you're gonna believe it. And so there's been a lot of like that untangling and that unwiring of being able to find my own voice. Because when you're told how to live, in these formidable years when you're a kid, you just think like, oh, I don't know how to make my own decisions. I don't know what's right for me. I must seek outside of me and listen to what society says or listen to what these, people who are in charge say because they must know what's best.
How old were you when from the point that you were like, I want to get out, and when you actually did leave?
So I left when I was 17. And I mean, I can remember as young as like 10 or 11 being like, "Ah, I don't want to live like this. I hated being different, in school. Like I was not allowed to be friends with the kids at school. We were different. Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door. Like, God forbid, I would knock on a door and it would be a kid from school or something. Like, it was so embarrassing. I hated it. So I can remember as young as, 10, 11, maybe even a little younger, of always thinking, oh, I want to leave. I don't want to be in this. But I knew, quote unquote, what the rules were. And if I left the religion, I would be leaving my family behind. Like, there would be it was very clear. If you were not in, you were out. And we will let you know you're out by disowning you and by not speaking to you. So I would oscillate back and forth, because it's like a big weight to bear as a kid of like, I don't want to be in this, but if I leave, I'm going to lose my family, you know? And when you're young, 11, 12, 13, I didn't know how to like create a life outside of that. And so, but then as I got a little bit older, like that feeling was stronger and I hated being different. And I just knew, okay, this is not for me. So then
I
when I was
mean,
17, I left.
I mean, maybe the word's different, but also I think separate. I think, like you just said, like community, like, you stand for community, and this lifestyle is so separate from the world stage, from like the whole world community. And that's just so not who you are. So that must have been such a hard decision to make, to just be like, I'm out. Love you guys. Might never see you again, and I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely hard. I almost like sometimes I look back at it and I'm like, who was that 17-year-old girl? But it was perfect being 17. You have a lot of that like mobilizing energy that allows you to think like, oh, I know what's best and I can do this. And so there's a lot of that. But then sometimes I look back and I think I was just blacked out the whole time to make such a huge decision about that. But and you know, it's interesting you brought up about the community and how important that is to me. And you know, it like community was not emphasized in the broad span of things growing up. If you were a Jehovah's Witness and you were part of that community, okay, great, then we're on board with you. But like I never one time remember my mom saying to me, your sister is your family. That is what matters. That is what counts, right? Like blood is thicker than water type of thing. There was never any of that emphasis put on how important that was and community was. But then when I left when I was 17, I got kicked out and shunned by my whole community that I had known my entire life, which was these Jehovah's Witnesses, this congregation of people that I literally grew up in. And so then I didn't understand why I was so community like I was like I was community dense. I didn't understand, oh, community is the most important thing until about 8 years ago when my life started to shift. And then I started to realize, oh no, community is literally the most important thing. And no wonder why I had a hard time connecting with people because my history told me, oh, you're going to leave. So I can't get too close. So yeah, that's been a really beautiful discovery of mine is realizing, no, literally for me, community and connection is literally up there as like the three most important pieces of medicine I can give myself on a daily basis. And I know I will, if I haven't been connecting with people, if I've maybe been a little bit too on my own for a couple days in in a row or something, I feel myself starting to almost like atrophy a little bit, like it gives me such life to be in community with aligned people. And that's why I know that's why it's like my girlfriends are so special to me and the women in my life because it's helped me heal this relationship, that I gave up with my mom and my sister when I left when I was 17.
Yeah. Hmm. And then at what age were you when you decided to get breast implants?
I was 21.
Wow.
So am part of the little bitty itty titty committee, and I grew
Me
up
too.
in yeah, and I grew up in a age where there was a lot of emphasis placed on what you look like. I mean, I know there's still that, but this was like the time of Baywatch, and I just can kind of remember like looking at models on the covers of in the magazines at the supermarket. Obviously this was 25 years ago, so the way we get our media is different now. So it's a lot of magazines at the grocery store, whatever you saw on TV. And there was just this like, oh, message, whether it wasn't, it was like just permeated the air. Like, in order for you to be beautiful, you must have big boobs. You must have tits, right? Like, and they have to look like this. And so it was just like, yeah, like I decided at 21, like this was going to be for me. Like, it's going to allow me to be beautiful. Society says this is beautiful. So this is how I can make myself beautiful.
And looking back, because obviously, things and definitions change, but what did it mean for you to be beautiful? Like what would if you were if you did you have this belief of like if I were beautiful, then I could have blank? Or yeah, like what do you think that definition was for you?
Oh, that's so interesting. Such an interesting question because I think back to like when I was growing up, and I don't ever remember my mom being hard on herself for her the way she looked or her body or anything like that. So my body image of myself, I don't think that voice was as critical in my head for like, my body. However, I knew in order to be better, I needed to have big boobs. Like that was there was it was kind of pretty like cut and dry. There was no like, oh my God, this is going to make me beautiful. But I also did not have that inner beauty like of myself. Like I didn't understand the difference between inner beauty and outer beauty. I just thought there was outer beauty. And you have to look like this and you have to wear this and this is what is going to make you beautiful. But in my head too, it was also like, how can I be beautiful to other men? How can I be beautiful to men? Because my history also was with men was like, my dad left when I was 4 and wasn't really in my life a whole lot. And so, it was like, that's what I was always looking for, seeking validation from men to fill that void in my heart and in my life. And so I was like, oh, I'll get these implants and then it'll just make me better. It'll make me better and I'll be able to like get this validation that I'm looking for, that I need to look like this in order to be lovable.
Thank you for sharing that. I asked because I'm kind of in that a little bit of that arena right now with going through a separation and a divorce. Like once I hit the 3 month mark, I realized that I had many big empty spaces inside of me where I outsourced to my husband, to my ex, and a big piece of that was feeling beautiful. And it's so funny because like I was just reflecting like during that time, man, I spent a lot of money that I normally wouldn't spend on skincare, on makeup, like I bought like 3 different types of lipsticks and like things I normally wouldn't spend money on. And yeah, it's just so and then so it's really for the past like three all of February really it was really jarring to face these empty external validation spaces of like asking myself like what do I think I'll gain if I have that quote unquote beauty that these lipsticks will
Yeah.
provide? Um, or and what do I think I don't have if I don't have that beauty? And what does beauty actually mean to me? Like just redefining all of it. And it's really tough. It's really tough. And man, there's so much pressure, especially on young women in their 20s through society to be that little extra step of beautiful.
hmm I love that you had that realization too of like why you were looking for these outside, like the lipsticks and the outside beauty. Because there's also this fine line too, where like makeup or how we dress can be just a really beautiful way of us expressing ourselves, right? Especially
Yes.
with makeup, right? It's so creative, it's such an artistic way to express ourselves. So, what a beautiful realization you had that you were looking outside of yourself for for validation when in a way, and that's such a beautiful way to express yourself. So I just love that you had that realization. It's really beautiful.
Now what I do is every time I pass a mirror, I look and be like, "Look at you, cutie! Look at you with those lips! Like, look at you with that hair!" Like, I just every single time I just try to stop myself and just be like, "I see you, cutie girl."
Yes, I love that. That's so great.
Okay, so I would love for you to share, why did you decide to remove them?
Yeah. So when I first got them, mine were saline filled implants. And at the time, silicone implants were outlawed. And I bring that up because with saline filled implants, you could have them longer than what the recommended what they recommend when you have silicone implants. So I never got them replaced at like the 8 to 10 year mark, like they had said, and they had told me that too. But I was like, I had 2 plastic surgeons tell me, oh, until you get a flat tire, like you can just keep them like for as long if they still look good and you're still happy with them, like you don't have to replace them. Like it wasn't, because with silicone implants, there's a possibility that they can rupture and you won't even know it. If my implant would have ruptured, I would have known it because it would have been clearly less volume than the other one. So I waited and waited and waited, never got them replaced. And then it was in I want to say like 2017, 2018. That's when I started to just have my spiritual awakening of like realizing the outside noise that was influencing me. I had already been on my journey of eating very specifically, eating healthier, like understanding like what certain foods, processed foods, all of that would do to me and why I wanted to stay away from that. I'd already been doing that for quite some time. I would do things like I was also like buying different skin products, buying different makeup that was a little less toxic. Same thing with things in my house. Like I was just very open to what was toxic, what wasn't, what did I want to put in my body. So then, fast forward to it was like 2019. One of my implants had capsulized, which that's a pretty common thing that will happen. When they put the implant in, there's a capsule that forms around the implant to like it's the way your body like it's a response from your body. And sometimes what they will do, I think I'm explaining this right, is it will like seize up a little bit and they'll get really hard. So one of mine had already done that and it was hard. And so that was the one side. And then the other side was just painful. It just would come and go, this pain. And so I knew like I need to get them replaced. Like I was way past like, at this point we were pretty close to the 20-year mark. And I was like way past what the recommended was, even though I had been told what I had been told by the other plastic surgeons. So then I remember talking to a friend of mine, my friend Kara, and she had said something about wanting to have her implants out. They just didn't align with her anymore. And just hearing her explanation of that, it made me realize, like, oh, yeah, these are really toxic and I'm putting them into my body. I just don't think that they align with me anymore. But the thought of not having them in was very scary for me because what is it going to look like? I already didn't have anything. How awful are they going to look, after I get them out? I had, at that point done zero research. I just knew that what she said really aligned with me that like, yeah, I don't really think I want to put something like that back in my body. And I had looked up like how toxic the linings were and all the things. But I knew at that time I'm probably going to get them out. Like I said, this was 2019, 2020, but I knew I needed time. I knew I had a lot of work I needed to do on myself to love myself in that way without these implants. At this point, I'd had them for basically half of my adult or all of my adult life. And okay, so now how do I take these steps to be able to get them out and then love myself and love my body? So that began the work of me really doing the inner work, the emotional work. Learn like I didn't even really understand when people talked about self-love. I was like, yeah, I love myself. I would think like, yeah, I love myself, like in that harsh tone, teenager tone. And then I realized like, oh wait, that wasn't very loving though. And so I just knew like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna love myself more. I didn't even know that was a thing, but I'm gonna love myself more. I'm gonna figure this out so that I can be okay taking these implants out that don't really align with me anymore. And I knew that the woman I was at that moment in time was not that same girl at 21 who needed that external validation, who needed to seek outside of herself to be loved by others. And so that really helped me to put the pieces in place of like loving myself, like not needing it from other people. Like, how do I love myself more? And so that was like a journey of a few years of like, okay, there's like a lot of inner work that needs to be done.
Can you share a few tools that you found really helpful on that journey to self-love, to deeper self-love?
Yeah, a lot of it like started with me just realizing, oh, yeah, like this is what society has been feeding us. And I think it's bullshit. Like, who says? And then realizing like, oh, I grew up in this environment that was very like controlling. This is how you will live your life, right? And then I realized like, oh, I'm getting it from society too. Not only did I get it growing up, but society was doing it also. And so I was getting it from both sides. And so I became very angry that this was the narrative that women are told how they will look beautiful, that women past the age of 40 are not beautiful anymore, and that you have to start doing all of this stuff to yourself to make you to keep you like validated, to keep you lovable. It's just such bullshit. So just having that realization of what people were saying was truth, realizing, no, that's not true. That's just made up and people believe that. So getting clear about that was like really helpful. And then, tools, I don't know that like, there was just a lot of things that I did, like conversations like that I would have with someone like you, very aligned conversation. Meditations I would have, journaling that I would do, just help me to like realize like how I was showing up and when I was showing up in a way that was people pleasing, when I was showing up in a way that I was afraid to use my voice. So just really a lot of inquiry of why I was behaving how I was behaving. And so there was just a lot of inner work. I've done a lot of plant medicine. I love yoga. That I found so helpful. So just doing these things that were nourishing to myself to help me remove the veil, to help me like realize, oh wait, what does Bonnie actually want here? What do I stand for? What do my values? Like what's important to me? And I realized like it wasn't the noise on the outside, like listening to that. Now, am I perfect? Do I have my moments where, you know, I'm human just like everybody else? Yeah, of course. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to come back to myself and realize like, oh, I was this person today making the decision, not my 17-year-old self or my 30-year-old self. Like this person today is making the decision. I think I just rambled there and I don't know that any of that made sense, but
It did, and it seems like it was like it's all the classics that we hear about, and I want to say that, I want to emphasize that, because I think that especially if somebody's new on the path, it's a little bit like, oh yeah, of course I gotta like talk to my friends and journal and like do some yoga, like yeah, sure, I'll do it. But like it's like once you, it's almost like falling in love. Once you fall in love, all the cliches become true. Once you enter this path, all the cliches come true. And yeah, you can cringe at yourself and be like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna journal about how much I love myself. But it works. It really works. And it's a little bit like, I don't love this phrase, but I actually do love it too at the same time. Fake it till you make it. Like
mm,
journal about how much you love yourself, even if you don't actually feel it, and just like keep going and just confront that feeling, and talk to people who are in alignment for sure. I love that. And it also seems like this journey, there's two things I want to point out. This journey has been a journey of seeing your body as something to be objectified, to seeing your body as an objective vessel for this path.
mm.
I also find it interesting that a few times since the beginning you've mentioned your voice, using your voice. And do you think that there is a strong correlation between having your implants, then removing your implants, and this voice, this throat chakra sort of theme here?
Yeah, and that was something that had started to unfold even before the actual removal of my implants, because just that and me realizing like, oh, there's noise coming in from this, these Jehovah's Witnesses growing up, like this is how you will be, and then the noise from society, and then realizing like, oh, I don't have to believe that. I don't have to fall into that. Oh, I can actually make my own decisions and I can do what's best for me. And just because it's best for me doesn't mean it's best for you. So just that realization of like, oh, I have like literally was just told what to do. And so I didn't know like my whole life, I didn't understand as an adult, like, oh, now I get to go and create that discovery and that curiosity. So yes, it has been this whole big thing of me standing up for what I want and what's right for me. And just because this is right for me doesn't mean that it's right for the next person. And I'm definitely in no way advocating saying like, oh, all breast implants are bad. I don't know what your story is, right? If you want to get them, great. That's your prerogative. That's the choice you get to make. But for me, this was the right choice. And it was also through all of this self-reflection through the last few years of me being able to find my voice and me being able to really just know what I want and know what is important to me and know how I want to, you know, what I want to spend my time on. And so, yeah, but it definitely like using my voice, like this has helped me in the last few years, even just stand up for myself of like, this is what was best for me. And it doesn't have to be best for you. And that's great.
I love that distinction. And I also want to say that like do whatever you want. Like if you want implants, do it. If you want the surgery, do it. I think this is more of a story of you like deculturating yourself. Is that the word, or acculturating yourself? I don't know, but it's like it's your there was an indoctrination there, and this is just a part of that story of you
Yeah.
creating your own culture
Yeah,
of what it
exactly.
means to be beautiful and to listen and to love.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm really grateful that I did them, that I got them. Like I don't ever look back and think, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that." It gave me a lot of confidence at a time when I really needed confidence. So I can look back and I can like love on that version of me who got them and just realize like, oh, she was just like searching for, stuff that she didn't have, and that's okay. And like now as 25 years later, I can look back and just be like, yeah, like it was great. And another thing too, this might be like sound however to people, when I see women with them, there's times I'm like, yeah, she looks good. Like I don't think that they look bad. Even with mine, I didn't think they looked bad. I just like didn't want them anymore to be a part of my story. I had moved on from that.
Yeah. An image that keeps on coming in my mind is when I was in middle school or high school, I was on Tumblr. I don't know if you were ever, I think
I
maybe it's
remember
considered.
vaguely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw these photos of women tan in a tank top with these like big old titties, and I remember looking at those and be like, I can't wait for my big titties to grow in. Like I just thought like that's all women just had like titties like that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
would just think like, I'm so when is it gonna happen in high school? When is it gonna happen? It's like my boobs are the same size they were when I was like 17, 18 years old, and I don't look like those women in those tank tops with like bit and I realize now like, oh, they were probably implants because they had like a very specific look to them.
Yes. It's
But
funny. And funny you say that too, because I remember growing up, my mom and my sister always used to like tease me. I never remember it being like teased in a bad way. It was teasing and fun. But like, oh, Bonnie's gonna have the biggest boobs. Like she's gonna be the one with the big boobs. And then I was like the one with the smallest. And I'm like, I think they jinxed me. But maybe that was also like, even though I don't associate anything negative, or I really just think of like fun when I think about that. But maybe that was like a subconscious seed that planted, like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to be, you know?
right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Um, Not that I don't want to make this because there's so many podcasts out there, I'm sure, that talk about like the medical symptoms. So I don't want anyone to self-diagnose themselves, to have that like implant illness if that's what you even had. But can you share some of the symptoms that you had that were physical?
Yeah. So it was funny. I had decided, like, oh, I'm going to get my implants out at some point. I didn't know when. Like I said, this was like 2020. And I'm going to get them out. Um, because they don't align with me, and I could really like feel into that and how that was important. But then I learned about breast implant illness after the fact, and I was like, wait, what is this breast implant illness you speak of? And like so then I started doing like a deep dive into that. Not right away. Actually, I set my appointment to have my explant February 14th of 2023, and my appointment was 18 months later. So my appointment was October 16th, 2024, because the guy I went to, Dr. Rankin in Jupiter, Florida, he had a wait list. He always has a wait list. He only does explant surgery, and he's really good. He's a specialist. And because of my specific situation, I really wanted to make sure that I went to somebody who I trusted, and that's why I traveled and went to him and waited so long. So right before I had made that appointment, that's when I really started hearing a lot about breast implant illness. And I was like, yeah, I don't really think I have that. Yeah, that must be really awful for these women who go through that. Like that was just kind of the story in my head. And then I started looking at the symptoms and I was like, oh, wait a second. I do have these. And I remember I have it still. I have this paper that has a list of like 49 symptoms, and I had 16 of them. And I was like, wow, okay. And so then, like with everything, it's a spectrum. Some women get them and within 6 months feel awful and feel very sick. And like, it's like literally like a light switch, right? And then some women at the end of the spectrum, like where I believe I sat, I think because I had had them for so long, it's like this little small 1% tick after so long, right? I didn't feel anything like right away for probably the first like 10, 15 years. And then I think I started having all these like little 1% ticks. And then I realized like, oh yeah, I have brain fog. Oh yeah, I have these dark circles under my eyes that feel like they came from nowhere. Oh yeah, I have heart palpitations. And these things I kind of look back and I think, oh, it's funny, they just were there. They just happened. Like it wasn't like one day it was like this huge big thing. So it was like very small incremental like shifts of me feeling like, oh yeah, I'm waking up tired. Oh yeah, my head is so cloudy. Yeah, I'm having these heart palpitations. Like at the end, I was having them 3 or 4 times a week. Just like just thinking, and like there's a little bit of naivety there where it's like, oh yeah, I probably should have maybe done something about it. But then also like they probably would have checked all my heart and done everything and been like, you're fine. Because that's also what had happened with so many women of these stories I was hearing. Women would go to the doctor and they were being told they're crazy. They were just being gaslit back and forth all ways, because they would do all this testing, and the testing would come out fine, and then but they're really sick. So fortunately, like for me, my symptoms were very mild. Another thing, hair loss, like that started happening. And I know originally it started happening because I was having some gut issues, but then I fixed my gut and I was doing really well. And a year later, I was still losing hair. So it was all these things. I was like, it must be my implants. Like there's just a disruption, they can create a lot of inflammation in the body. Same thing with my liver. My liver had was like from blood work showed I had a lot of inflammation around it. So now here, fortunately, like I said, I wasn't like super sick, but it was enough where I was like, I don't want to have heart palpitations. Like I don't want my hair to fall out. Like I'm tired of waking up in my 40s with brain fog. Like I'm not that old, I feel like I do take really good care of myself. And then as soon as like I had my surgery, it was like I just watched all these symptoms start to fall off, like my hair doesn't fall out, like it's the normal amount
Wow.
of shedding. The dark circles under my eyes went away within 3, 4 weeks. The brain fog went away immediately. Like I woke up from surgery and was like crystal clear. Yes, I probably was still a little high from the anesthesia, but then I just continued to watch that clarity in my brain and in my mind just not be, clear. Um, Heart palpitations. I had a set of heart palpitations the afternoon after surgery. 3 days later, I've not had any since. Like it's just like all these things, right? And I know I've redone my blood work. My liver enzymes are normal range,
Wow.
and so it's just like for me, this was the best decision. So I did a lot of work on myself, and then like the 6 months leading up to surgery, I was like, I don't really know what other emotional work to do on myself right now because I really feel like I love myself. Like, I'm ready for this. Like, yes, of course, I was nervous. Like, what's it going to look like? Am I really going to be happy with this? Like, the thoughts, the what ifs. But then when I would think of replacing them, I was like, yeah, that's clearly not an option either. So this is the right decision for me. And then I knew, okay, you know what? I bet you there's just some other work that I'm going to have to do around loving myself and around loving my new look after I get my implants out. But I can't do that work until after I'm there in that situation. And I feel just very proud of myself for the work that I did. Also, like, this was very important to me to like not have them anymore. And so I feel very proud of the work that I did because after I got them out, I had this rediscovery of myself, of what I look like now without implants. Like, and I have scars. I did a explant and a lift. I did a lollipop lift, so I have, scars on that look like a lollipop on my breast. And I look at myself and I'm like, scars and all, little boobies and all. I love how I look so much. And because I feel so myself, and I've never felt more myself and more authentic than I do now.
Mm. Can you please share a little bit more of the psychospiritual shifts that you want? I mean, this isn't psychospiritual at all. This is purely somatic, but one thing that you did mention was when you had done like a breathwork session afterwards, you realized you could take a deep, deep inhale that you hadn't been able to do before.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that I still am just so amazed at. So, what I realized after surgery is that I was having pain down the front of my neck. I also was having like neck pain, back pain, but it's a place that we carry a lot of stress, a lot of tension. I knew that my implants, like they were pretty big. I knew that that was causing strain on that. And sure enough, like that back pain has basically gone away. But I had neck pain also and it was so subtle, I didn't even realize until after I got out. But it felt like the muscles in my neck were being stretched out because they were. And I just realized like, oh my God, that tension, that tightness is gone. And then the day after, the afternoon of surgery, I remember breathing and taking these full expansive breaths in. And I feel like I'm pretty connected to my breath. I'm a breathwork practitioner. Like I feel like I'm obsessed with it. I'm constantly like, inquiring as to how I'm breathing. I would have told you before that like my breath is very smooth. And I did know that there was a point when I would inhale when I had my implants that I would just kind of get to where I couldn't inhale anymore. And so I figured, oh, I'm probably going to be able to take fuller breaths. But what I didn't realize is that my breath was skipping as I would inhale. And it's almost like, I mean, it was so subtle. I didn't realize it until after, but it was like it's almost like this. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but like
Oh, like a,
yeah, it was just
yeah.
like almost like a very slight hyperventilation, but it was just this skip, but I you wouldn't hear that sound and there wasn't this distinct like skips in my breath, but it was just this feeling and this sensation that I realized was happening and that I could take these very big expansive breaths that I was not able to do before because I was limited to how far I could breathe in.
Wow. Gosh. And that just, I mean, I just think of what the signaling a breath like that does to the nervous system, especially when it's so subconscious. I think about the autonomic nervous system. I mean, not too much because it's pretty automatic, but I think about it often.
Yeah,
Like
same.
its influence and how it just goes and like what is it that keeps it just going and going and what are the influences that may be hindering it from its fullest capacity, and it's just how precious is that? But yes, if you could share some like either like psychospiritual, anything else that feels like worth mentioning that was a big shift. Because I mean, like literally, like it was encapsulating around your heart chakra. And then,
Mm.
you mentioned the tightness around your throat. Like, do you feel like you've been launched into this space of the heart and the throat chakras? Like what's going on for you there?
Yeah, I do. I want to talk about that, but you said something a minute ago about how our breath is influencing our nervous system.
Yeah.
And it so in on that subconscious level, those little skips absolutely were because our breath is always informing the brain. And our nervous system has one job, which is to keep us safe. So it's always scanning our environment. And our breath is a direct communication to the brain of, oh, there's something stressful in our environment or there's something safe and loving or whatever, it's just safe in our environment. And so by those little skips, absolutely, it was always informing the brain of some sort of stress. Albeit it was low, very little, but yes, it was always informing my brain. And so that's another thing. I have just definitely felt more calm in my body and not as yeah, just more calm, more peace, more just at ease because my breath is telling my brain there's not that stress anymore. So I wanted to just mention that. And yes, like say the question again about what you had just asked me. Sorry, I forgot.
No, that's okay. Like the psychospiritual, the chakras, like what's shifted for you within these spaces?
Yeah. So I definitely feel like my heart is wide open. I thought about it after and I was like, oh yeah, like my implants were like these little covers on my heart, you know? So there's going to be stuff that couldn't penetrate, right? And there's plenty of stuff that did also, but just having them off, like first off, it's so beautiful. Like I can place my hand on my body and I can feel my heartbeat. Like I would have such a hard time feeling my heartbeat because my implant was right there. And I would always have to feel my heartbeat like through a different pulse point. And so that's one thing I just feel so connected having my hands like right over my heart and feeling my heartbeat, feeling my heart communicate to me. But it's just this like, it's like the veil has been removed, like I was looking through rose colored glasses or there's a blind spot, but now I feel very connected to my intuition a little bit deeper. That's something I'm always continuing to work on, learning like what's mine, what's my intuition, what is like influence from others. But I definitely feel like it has opened me up to be able to receive more and also for me to be able to give more because I don't have this implant that is over my heart. That is, yes, it wasn't like touching it, but it's influencing my heart. Like clearly I was having heart palpitations.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
And in Chinese medicine, there's a couple of things that could contribute to heart palpitations, but the three things that come to mind is heart yin deficiency, and yin is, you know, I don't really love to say the feminine energy. It's a great way to encapsulate it, but I don't want people to think like, oh, women energy. No, it's feminine energy. It's energy of holding, right? Heart blood deficiency, so the flow of our life force, because where the blood goes, chi will follow. And then the other one is just heart chi deficiency in general, just all deficiency. That's usually what causes palpitations because the heart's trying to it's trying to do its thing, and what it does is it holds blood and it circulates blood. And my question had lately has been like, what is blood actually? Because in Chinese medicine, it's just the way they speak about it. It's a capital B, blood. And there's just so they say blood is the mother of chi. Well, chi is life force. Like blood is the mother of life force. What does that mean? And yeah, so like I think about it in that context. And that's why I just really was like interested to hear about like that shift within you because I also just think of the heart meridian. And also the last thing I want to say is in Chinese medicine, every organ has its own spirit, its own little soul. And so the Shen is the spirit of the heart. And the Shen really is about like how we perceive the world. It's always telling us like what we see outside and what does that mean inside. And so that perception of receiving from the world and you kind of mentioned that there, that the ability to receive has been opened for you. And I think that's something in our society that isn't really fully encouraged, that receiving from the heart.
Oh,
Give,
especially as
give,
women.
give. Yeah, yeah. It's all give, give, give. But what does it mean to receive from the heart, from one heart to another?
Mm, that's so beautiful. And yeah, listening to what you were just saying, it reminded me of just another thing that's just been so beautiful about being more connected to my heart is that I'm able to feel um, a little deeper. My friend Alyssa always says, yeah, I feel like I have to roll the red carpet out for my emotions. And like, that's how I felt. Like, I resonate with that so much. And I realized that by taking my implants out, and I know it's also because of the work I've done, I'm like a constantly in inquiry of myself. I'm like, I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. But just like having that removed, having that block removed, it's allowed me to feel more, to feel into other people more, to feel my intuition more, to hear my own voice more. And I love that connection that I'm continuing to build with myself, with my heart, with what my heart is saying. Because I know this, I believe this, and have for a while. Like our heart has our best interest at hand, and it's never going to lead us wrong if we can tune in to what the message of the heart is.
Yes. Yes. That's when I made that decision last year to ruthlessly follow my heart. that was a huge thing that I had to really, really embody, that my heart will never lead me astray. Never, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so,
Mm.
it's such a beautiful thing to be able to trust upon, as long as we can create that space to hear
Yeah.
what the message is.
Is there anything else that, before I get into the closing questions, is there anything else along this stream of conversation that feels worth mentioning here?
Sure. Like I feel like my experience has been really easy, for myself. And again, like I've said, like it is because of the work that I put into it.
How many
But
weeks? I'm sorry to interrupt, but how many weeks out are you?
yeah, so I'm 4.5 months,
Okay, okay.
which is wild that it's already 4.5 months. But yeah, 4.5 months. But like I said, I do feel like I've had a pretty easy journey with this, and it's because I was ready. But there have been those moments when I've looked at myself and I've thought, oh, I just wish my boobs were just a little bit bigger. Oh, I just wish I could fill this out a little bit more. And so I'm still human. I'm still like having like regular normal thoughts, but then it's an opportunity for me to love myself and be like, yeah, but look how beautiful you look. Like scars and all, little boobs and all, like, but look how you're authentically expressing yourself. So I just say that because there have been times like, for anybody who's thinking about this and who has maybe like thought about it, but then wondered like, oh, what's it going to look like? Or what are people going to think? Like that was another thing I was really worried about. What are people going to think? And then I remembered sharing it with people that I was afraid to tell. And they were just like so accepting and so loving of it. And so just then realizing like, oh yeah, I'm putting all this judgment on myself. I'm putting all these barriers and all these limitations on myself by me thinking, oh, this is what other people are going to think. So it's a process. I just want, if you're thinking about doing it, if it's something that's calling to you, be gentle with yourself through this process so that you can make the decision that is best for you and what is going to serve you the best.
Thank you. Okay. So, you've been on the show before, so I think you might remember the last closing question. So within this specific cycle and phase and journey of rebirth in a lot of ways in your life, what has been a food that's been very like an ally, a piece to this new chapter? And when I say food, I'm talking about food therapy. So it could be the way you cook your food. It could be a meal, it could be a supplement, it could be an herb, whatever you're gonna put in your mouth for the purpose of sustenance.
Mm. This is such a great question because food is something like I wish I had a magic wand. And like every day it's like, what do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? So it's interesting. I'm like trying to have a better relationship with cooking and a better relationship with nourishing myself because sometimes it's just like easy to be like, oh, it's 2 o'clock and I've had nothing to eat and oh, I don't feel like making anything. So I don't know that I necessarily have had one specific food that I've like really leaned on right now, or that has been like really supportive. I'm just proud of myself when I get good nutrients in my system. And like I'll tell you, I've been making this new thing where I'll just like take frozen broccoli and kale, put it in the oven. So that's my base. And then I will saute like usually red pepper, mushroom, onion and zucchini. I'll saute that up and then I'll make chicken. And like that's what I've made that so many times in the last 3 months, or not 3 months, 3 weeks, because I'm like, it's easy. I'm getting a lot of nutrients and it's quick. There's not a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Preparation that goes into it. So, yeah, I think this is like the hardest question you've asked me all day because I'm like food and it's not that I have a bad relationship with food. It's just like, like I have to eat again today. Like it's like I love it. And that's why I think, this meal that I've been making, it's been so easy for me because I do find a lot of deliciousness in it. It tastes a little bit different each time. My husband, I'm like, we're eating the same thing we've been eating. He's just like, okay, he doesn't care. But I'm just happy to get like nourishing food in my body every day.
Is there an herb or supplement that's helped you throughout your explant journey in terms of letting the body?
Um, I used arnica a lot, but that's like a not necessarily like was a sport that helped with the bruising in the beginning. Um, yeah, and then I just took like my regular, like I take this green powder, that's like all the nutrients. Um, yeah, no, I don't know that I really have an answer for you.
That's okay. We let
Um,
the body just do her thing.
yeah,
Sounds like you've
yeah.
just been listening, so.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, and then my last question is sharing to whatever depth you're comfortable with a pearl from a recent darkness that you're either finding yourself within or on the other side of.
Mm. To allow myself to look at situations from the outside, like not being in it and allowing myself to be in it if I'm going to be in it. But can I have enough curiosity? Can I have enough inquiry within of why I'm feeling this way to get to like why something is really important for me? Like yeah, there's like been a whole journey recently. I mean, I know I recently sat with Iboga, and that has been very eye-opening for me of like, what is it that I want? What is my truth? At first I thought like, as I know and I'm sure you've talked about on here, like Iboga is the seeker of truth. And so I wondered how that would show up for me after my experience at the end of January. And it has shown up for me. And I thought, oh, it's okay. It's other people's truths. That's what it's showing me, other people's truths. But really, when I was able to sit with it and really allow the unfolding to happen, I realized it's helping me understand my truths, my values, what's important to me, like why I need certain things in my life and why maybe I don't. And that's been a really big blessing for me of like being patient with whatever it is, of not making these like quick, rash decisions, but really allowing this unfolding to happen where I can just stay in curiosity. And so that's been just really helpful for me of expressing patience, which also is so interesting too. So this year, I'm sure is the in Chinese the Chinese New Year. It's the year of the snake. And I don't remember exactly the quote, but when I was reading about the snake, there was something along about patience, what we can get from the snake this year, and there was something about patience. And I just remember like right after that was when I had had my Iboga experience, and then realizing like, oh, I'm also being called to be patient right now, patient with others, patient with myself, patient with my mind wanting to control everything, patient with wanting to like just figure it all out. Like it all happens in due time when we allow it to unfold at the pace it's supposed to unfold without forcing.
hmm it's like becoming the eye behind the eyes
Mm.
and just
Oh
yeah.
yes. One of my plant teachers, she says, you need to realize with real eyes.
Love it. Love it. I feel like I've seen that on like a or no, it was like she realized his lies with real eyes or something like that. Just another
That's
Tumblr
amazing.
thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I love it.
Exactly.
It's perfect. It's perfect. I recently heard the quote of eyes clouded by desire will miss the truth. And I
Mm.
heard that in January and I was like, fuck. I desire so many things in my life and I cling to them and I might get fucked over again if I cling that hard with desire. And so that launched me into a whole journey of like letting everything I thought I wanted in life go. But it's the patience with yourself of like knowing, okay, like I'm human, I have desires, and I'm here for truth.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you say that too, because we are in this modern society, which is so great, but I can open my phone and I can get any information I want. I can get anything delivered that I want. Lunch in an hour, Amazon today, tomorrow, right? It's just all of this, you open social media, dopamine, 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 right? It's this instant everything. And so we forget sometimes, and I've definitely fallen into this where it's like, oh, fix me by Sunday. I want to do all this work and I want to be healed by Sunday, but that's just not how it works, We have to be patient. We have to go inside. We have to tune that noise out on the outside so that we can really see what our true authentic expression is. And it can change, just because you are this way one day doesn't mean that a year down the road you don't have the full agency to change your mind and to, and maybe that comes from growth and experience and whatever you've just been through. And that's the beauty of life. And that's why, this uncovering in the last few years of like, oh, was told who to be, how to be through society, through the religion, all the stuff, right? Through the cult. But realizing like, oh no, what's so beautiful is I get to decide and I get to choose like what is best for me. And just because getting my implants out doesn't mean it's the best thing for anybody else, especially if you're not ready emotionally or you're just not there yet. Like, be patient with yourself and allow it to just blossom at its own time.
We just went full circle right there.
Yeah, there you go.
That is unconditional self-love. Hearing
Yeah.
everything you said there, I was like, that's it. That's it. And yeah, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you
Mm.
so, so much for sharing your truth. What a beautiful truth it is. And I know that this is gonna just, help a lot of people in a lot of ways, whether they have implants or not. I know it's helped me just this conversation. So I love you. Thank
Mm.
you. How can people find you if they want to connect or work with you?
Yeah, so Instagram for now, maybe not down the
Right.
road.
Yeah.
Instagram right now, my name, Bonnie Biagioli. My website is www.withbonnie.com. You can always reach out and email me there. But especially anybody who's listening who has any questions about anything, if you're looking to explant or maybe you're looking to get implants in, like whatever it is, I'm not going to persuade you one way or another, but I'm so happy to share my experience with you. I know the women who came before me that removed their implants before me being able to ask them, to talk to them, to hear about their experience, whether it be what do they look like, or how did you feel, or how much did it cost, like who did you go to, all of that stuff. It was so helpful, and I'm so grateful for the women who came before me that allowed me to ask questions. So I'm here to help support any way I can in this.
Perfect. And I'll have all of Bonnie's contact information in the show notes.
All right. Thank you so much. I love you so much. So grateful.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. If you would like to support this podcast, if you gained any little nugget of wisdom from this episode and you want to share your gratitude, be sure to leave a review, share with a friend, make sure you're subscribed, press the likey button, all those little things that help this podcast grow and help the world see it, that it's right here waiting for their ears. All right, I'll be feeling your energy next time I'm behind this mic.